Hey friend, welcome to the Badass is the New Black podcast, where our motto is done is better than perfect. I'm Chrissy Chin, here on a mission to help you grow your business online, turn your leads into lifelong customers, and scale to six figures and beyond so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more. Most importantly, I'm a laid-back wife, a mom, a friend who started as a peds nurse, turned network marketer, and now a serial entrepreneur. This podcast is for ambitious people with an idea, a vision, but no idea how to get there. On this podcast, I'll give actionable steps to keep you moving forward while you learn new business strategies, better systems and processes, marketing, sales, all the things you need to build and scale a blissful business that keeps your pocketbooks growing. Grab a beverage, open up your notes app, and let's get to it. Let's welcome Braden Drake to the podcast. Braden is a California licensed attorney and tax professional. His tagline is, your gay best friend here to help you get your legal, tax, and financial shit legit. Braden works primarily with online and creative small business owners through his law firm, the Not Your Average Law Firm, and his online courses and membership. He is also the author of UNF Your Biz. I am censoring myself to keep it a little PG here. Braden is coming in as our January expert in the Access Your Experts series, where we bring in experts every month to dive deep into their topic of expertise. So he's going to teach you in January how to increase your take-home pay with tax strategies. This is a 90-minute in-depth training. We're going to take the first half of the training and go in deep, and then plenty of time for Q&A. So make sure you attend live. It's happening January 17th, 1 p.m. And it's free to come live. So mark it on your calendar now. Seriously, if you have to pause this, block it off in your calendar, use the link in the show notes or in the description on YouTube, and save your seat at thechrissychin.com/access the experts. Braden, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here on the podcast.
Well, thanks for having me. Also, very excited.
Love it. Love it. Y'all, Braden and I met at the Kajabi conference in, that was May. Feels like so long ago.
Okay, so I could have, this is a side tangent. I could have swore it was July. But I just started like my year in review, like blog post and podcast episode planning, and like all my expenses were in May. And I was like, what?
I think it was like May 30th to June 1st. It was like the very end. So, getting a little closer to July. So, understandable. Yes, but I just want to say, to stress, this is not what this podcast episode is about, but get to in-person events. It's one of the best ways to meet people, so that you can collaborate with them. If I hadn't gone to the conference, I wouldn't have met you, at least at this point in my life. We wouldn't be collaborating on bringing you in to access the expert. So get yourself to any in-person events to network. So I'm so grateful that you said yes to, well, first of all, I'm grateful that you took we did a little bike ride. Y'all, if you pay attention to my stories back then at the end of May, I posted, it might have been a reel as well, of us on one of the little pedicabs, and we were riding through the city.
Yeah, well, it was because we went like 5 whole blocks away from the conference center for lunch, and we were in Texas. It's like 105 degrees, and both of us were like, we don't want to walk back. We don't want to be sweaty all day. Yeah.
Everyone else in the group got VIP tickets, so they were having a private lunch, and we're like, okay, well, we're left out. So we went and grabbed.
It was fun. It was fun.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. We went and grabbed lunch. We got to chat, really dive in, and that's just where I fell in love with you, and got to take the pedicab back. So I'm excited to just have that memory with you, and just so excited and grateful that you're here and going to dive deep into this topic. This is a topic, financials. I'll be totally honest that I have had the blindfold on my financials for, I've peeked under the blindfold in the last couple of years just because of some, I talk about this in my book. I get kind of vulnerable about how I wasn't watching the finances and things were going down. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And so I'm learning more about this topic, and taxes plays a big role in this, right? In making more money in your business and doing things the right way and the smart way. So I'm learning more. So selfishly, I like to bring experts in on topics that I also like to learn about. So I'm really excited for the 17th, but let's just dive in so the audience can get to know you a little bit, and we can talk about why it's going to be really important that you carve out 90 minutes in your schedule in January to come listen and just let Braden teach you what you need to know. So let's just dive in a little bit on I shared a little bit about your background, but if there's anything else that you want to share that you think the audience needs to know, please.
Sure. Well, first of all, I mean, the talk's going to be awesome because we're going to talk about how people can save literal thousands of dollars in taxes. So that's big. Before I get to my background, though, like you were talking about your kind of stress around financials, and I always like to lay some groundwork. Okay. So, Chrissy, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to make some assumptions about you because I've never been to your house. Are you the type of person whose house is like immaculately tidy, but you like still apologize before people come over because you didn't have time to like dust that one corner in the house that you like never ever see?
You might think that because the background, if you're watching on YouTube,
Yeah.
looks immaculate.
Uh-huh.
Literally, it is a shit show on the other side of this
Okay.
computer. I have 2 kids. I have a mother-in-law that lives here. I have a dog, and I'm the only one that picks up. And I like doing all the other things, business and stuff. So it's the last thing that happened. So I'm basically apologizing. Like, I'm sorry. It looks like someone like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
tornado
Well,
went through here. But yeah.
I'm basically painting an analogy here because what I find is so we just onboarded like a whole cohort of 18 new clients into our signature service, and we do legal and tax services for all of them. And I kick everyone off with a one-on-one call with me. And I hear the same thing at the start of every call. Oh my goodness, my finances are such a mess, such a mess. Please help me. And what I find is that for some people, such a mess is like, I don't understand debt to equity ratios. And like, I want to be able to like really strategize my profit margins. And for other people, like such a mess is I haven't filed taxes in 5 years and I'm afraid the IRS is going to take me to prison. Like we see
Oh
both of
Lord.
these
Oh Lord.
on a very regular basis. So
Okay.
that's kind of the analogy with the house thing. Some people are actually messy, some people not so much, but they may feel like it. And we all have our different barometer for that, right? So when it comes to the tax side of things, we all kind of have a different way that we think about it. But at the end of the day, like we just got to get the basics done. We got to get up to speed. And then once we get those figured out, we can focus more on the advanced strategies, which is what we're going to talk about during this talk. So to answer your question, though, I'm an attorney. I'm licensed in California, and I also have a master's degree in tax law. So I'm not a CPA. People commonly assume that. I'm a tax lawyer, but I do have tax preparers and bookkeepers, as well as another attorney that work on my team. And we do kind of like all of that all in one house.
Yeah. And so one of the things for years, I've been like, okay, I hire a professional, so CPA, whoever, bookkeeper, and they should know all the things and like they should set me straight. And what I'm really learning and gathering from, very successful people is that you need to learn this stuff. Like you need to know it. They might not know everything. You can't rely on them. So even if you have if some of you are doing your taxes on your own, some of you are doing your bookkeeping on your own, and some of you have hired people to help you, you cannot just rely on them to do all of the things to help save you money. It's really important as a business owner that you learn this topic, and you don't have to learn, and correct me if I'm wrong, to the depths of like someone who went to school for this. But like you said, like you got to know the basics. You got to know some, strategies to use. So I'm excited for you and that's what you're going to go into, I believe, on the 17th a little bit more.
Yeah, and well, to give you like a really good example of that, we see this all the time, right? So we had a client last year who we didn't find out until we got almost done with her tax return that they'd inherited like $100,000 from a trust. And not only do you need to pay tax on that, but then also it increases their tax rate, which then impacts how much money they need to be paying in quarterly taxes on their business. My husband last year like got a bonus through a new work that he had, and he didn't realize that he should pay quarterly taxes on that bonus, and he didn't tell me about it. It's like I didn't know. So these kind of circumstances happen all the time, and the professionals you're hiring can only be so well informed if you're not giving them information. So at a minimum, you need to know what like the important things are happening in your life to notify their professionals so that you can seek guidance.
Right. They can't read your mind. Right. They can't read your mind. They don't know what the financial shifts and adjustments are. And so, yeah, being knowledgeable enough about that to be like, oh, I should probably inform them of this inheritance that I got.
Let them know that happened. Right.
My dream is to have an account where I don't have to do that. And they're like sending me text messages like, Chrissy, we need you to input what, and that's not the truth. That's not the reality of how it happens. They have many other clients. And I'm always like, but aren't they supposed to tell me like I'm supposed to do this by this date, whatever.
Yeah.
And I found, if you have 1099 contractors, you legally have to send them documentation by a certain date in January. And it's like, I didn't know that when, I was a
Yeah.
business owner. So it's like, and they weren't necessarily keeping up. Maybe I've gone through a CPA or two, so maybe I didn't have the best person to get started, but it is important to learn this stuff for
Yeah,
sure.
the closest thing you're ever going to get to that, to like what you're talking about, is if you hire like a full-time or fractional CFO that only works with like 5 clients. But then you got to figure like they're ideally probably going to want like $150,000 salaries. So like take that amount divided by 5, and like that's how much they'd have to charge you for that level of service, right?
Hashtag goals, friends. I love
Right,
that.
right, right. I mean, I'm
Okay.
sure there are some very wealthy people who have like a tax person dedicated to them full time, but for the rest of us, we got to do a little bit of legwork on our own, even if we're hiring people.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so anything else that you want to share with the audience in terms to help them prepare maybe for this? Because y'all are going to go to the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, the link is going to be below to grab your seat for this in-depth
Uh-huh.
training. We're going to do about half of it for the training, and we're going to have open Q&A. So is there anything you want them to look at to prepare so that they can be ready and be able to have more questions to ask you and really engage?
Yeah, what I think would be fun. So we're gonna have a lot of Q&A time during this talk, and we're also gonna be talking. So we're gonna be getting on to covering 5 lesser known tax deductions. And so we'll dig into those. I might even, Chrissy, this could be fun. I've done a full presentation before called what did I call? It was like basically, is it BS, right? So I would play a TikTok video from someone giving tax advice, and then I would ask everyone, like, is this BS or is this legit? I might throw in a couple of those.
Ooh,
That would
let's
be
do it.
fun.
Okay.
But if people like, if you are seeing any tax strategies, like in Facebook groups, in TikTok videos, wherever on X, I hate that, Twitter, X, whatever, on Threads, I have no idea. Like, bring those and we can talk about them. That'd be kind of fun. Obviously, if you have personal questions, bring those. I can only answer so much about your personal tax situation without having like a holistic kind of scope. But I'm typically not too afraid to get in the weeds as long as we're not like monopolizing time on one person. So
Yeah.
bring your questions, people.
And y'all, like I wanted to bring in an expert, someone who is licensed, someone who has so much experience in this area, like again, works with creators, course creators, coaches, not someone who has no idea what you're doing. And also because there is a lot of information out there now on TikTok, on Instagram, and you're like, I got this great advice from TikTok. And you're
Yeah.
like, but really, how legit is the advice, right? And you certainly don't want to be messing in this area with advice that is just not good
Yeah.
advice.
A lot of the times the tax advice, it's kind of like the equivalent of seeing someone on Instagram being like, everyone should create it. Like the key to success is that everyone needs to create a $2,000 course, right? And the answer is like, well, that's great advice for like some people, but not for everyone. So
Yes.
a lot of the tax stuff we see, it's not like entirely wrong. It's just not applicable to most people. It's just not applicable
Right.
to most people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Right? Just
Yeah.
like, yeah, your product suite, your offers, your style is very different from everyone else. Like that can affect your taxes. Oh,
Right.
I'm excited to
Exactly.
learn
Yeah,
and
so
dive
bring
in.
your questions, and sometimes, every once in a while, I'll get stumped. People will see something I'm not totally aware of that actually does turn out to be legit. And if that's the case, I'm not afraid to tell people. So this is why I have other people on my team who know stuff that I don't know. So I'll let you all know. And then, yeah, it'll be good.
Okay. And so also, to just kind of someone might be thinking out there, okay, California license, California base, I'm in Iowa or I'm in Georgia or Louisiana, or, wherever, is this going to be applicable to me? Because I know there's different, like, are there different criteria, different things you can do in different states? Or is this going to
Yeah.
be, good for everyone, US based?
It'll be good for everyone who is subject to US taxes, who pays taxes to the IRS. We all pay federal taxes, right? And federal taxes are usually 5 to 6 times higher than state taxes. So that's what most of us are concerned about. That's all federal law. And then on top of that, most states, their tax code basically just says, yeah, whatever the IRS is doing, like we'll do that. And sometimes they have some like extra tax benefits, but some of our legal talks are more state specific. This one in particular is going to be mostly about federal taxes. So generally
Okay, so
applicable.
perfect. If you're in the United States, you pay taxes, then you're going to want to be attending this. And if you're outside of the United States and you have a friend in the United States, please pass them the information to come attend this because it's going to be really amazing and impactful for your business. Because who doesn't want to save thousands of dollars and have it in their pocket instead of the government's pocket? I don't know. I'm
We're
raising my
also
hand.
we're also gonna talk a little bit about IRS red flags because not to scare people, it actually is more there to tell people that they probably need to be less scared than they actually are. But basically, like what makes the IRS go like, ooh, we should probably take a look at her.
Oh yeah, because we don't, getting audited is not
Yeah, not fun, but
not not something you want to go through, but it happens to people. So I'm excited
yeah.
to hear about how to maybe help avoid that. That would be wonderful. So y'all, again, this is happening January 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Again, we're going to have half the time for the training, half the time for questions. So please come live. It is going to be free live, or you can come live for free. So block off the time in your calendar, pause the episode when you're done, put it in there, block it off. The link will be in the show notes to save your seat so that you can get the link to join us. Again, it's thechristykchin.com/access the experts. Any other final notes that you want to share with the audience before we jump off here?
I mean, I don't think so. We pretty much covered it. I hopefully will have a functional microphone during our talk. Chrissy and I were really struggling with the tech before this. And when I say Chrissy and I mean me. So I'm on my computer microphone. We'll have that fixed. I will be as caffeinated as I am today. So if you like to have people bringing energy to talk about taxes, we're going to do that. Chrissy, I always say taxes might not ever be fun, but they're not going to get any more fun than this. So that's my promise to your audience.
Okay, I love it. Making a not so fun topic as fun as it possibly can be. So I'm excited. I really want to play the game. So if you can make that happen, that would be amazing. BS or not, right? Is that the game?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Like, what's the game called again?
Yeah, I'll have to workshop the title, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. Might be a different title, but we're going to play a game there. Again, we're going to make this as fun as possible. We're doing this strategically at the beginning of the year, people. So I don't know, some of you might be trying to file your taxes like January 1. I don't even know if that's a thing. But we're making this at the beginning of the year. Some of you are like, oh my gosh, I haven't tracked anything like all of last year. It's okay. You're going to learn. Maybe you're going to get on inspired to have a better system for this year. Oh yes. What?
Yeah, remind me, Chrissy. So we're doing this in January. So remind me to add some slides about 1099s into the presentation. Not something I initially planned to cover, but
Okay.
I know that people are going to have a lot of questions on it because 1099s are due at the end of January. So we can talk about that. And also to briefly mention, no one should be filing their taxes on January 1st. No one should really, I know people like to get them in early. I always suggest actually not filing before March 1st because inevitably you're going to get some 1099s yourself trickling in like at the end of February, and you don't want to have to like amend your tax return because you already submitted it before your tax documents.
That's a good point. I know, people will file early because they're like, I want, some people that have like spouses or whatever, if you're getting a W-2 or if you have a job and you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're getting a W-2, they've withheld more taxes than you actually need to pay. And so you're like, I need that return, right? And so you want to file early. So that's good advice to learn. We always file like as late as possible. Also because we have to wait for like K1s and all that. All that.
It's a battle in my house because my husband always wants to file on like February 1st. And I'm like, no.
No. So anyway, good advice. We're going to have even more advice for you, what to do, what not to do. I'm not going to have it. Braden's going to have it for you. And I know I'm going to learn a lot. I know you're going to learn a lot. So make sure you block off that time in your calendar, adjust the schedule, move the coaching appointment. Your client they won't kill you. Come to this. And heck, invite them to this. Invite your clients, your customers to this as well, because if they are paying taxes, they need to hear this. This is, we can open this up to anyone. So Braden, thank you for being here, for sharing a little bit more. I'm super excited for this. Yeah. Where can the community find you in the meantime to start following you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at not AVG Law. So that's short for average, not AVG Law. I have a Facebook group called Braden's Besties. And then I also have my own podcast if you would like to listen. It's UNF Your Biz. I'm censoring for the little ones. But if you spell that out, just put an asterisk in for the U and you'll find it on F Your Biz with Braden.
Perfect. And that is actually the title of your book as well.
Yeah.
All those links will be in the show notes. So fear not if you're like, what did he just say? Click into the show notes if you're watching on YouTube. Hello. And go ahead and find those links in the description. If you are watching on YouTube and you have a question already, put it in the chat below. We can start gathering questions already that you have, so I can have some all ready to go. If you're listening on the podcast, feel free to hop over to YouTube and do that as well, and maybe share something you're really excited to learn about. Braden, thank you. This has been amazing, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you got some value out of this episode, I would love some support. And the best way to do that, so I can keep showering you with loads of actionable tips, is to hit that subscribe button. Leave a review or a comment if you're on YouTube, and share this podcast with a friend. And when you share it with a friend on social, please tag me so I can reshare your share in my stories. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out. I appreciate the heck out of you for showing up. And now it's time for you to take imperfect action so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more.